Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing all right this Wednesday, the 15th of February. Thought I would give you another one of these micro updates. Actually, it's been a long while since I did the last one. I plan to do a micro update series. I did one episode and then never again. So I think I'm going to pick that up again. So this will officially be episode number 2. Just to do a little lightweight briefing in terms of what JS Genesis is working on. Of course, there's lots of other stuff in the community going on, but this is what we're doing. So obviously there's an election ongoing. That's worth highlighting more than anything else. We have some excellent candidates in the running. I think regardless of the outcome, we're going to have a great council for the next council period, which is really exciting. So if you haven't revealed your votes, please do. There's about 1.5 days left. I have been saying for a while that I intend to try to provide better information for voters in terms of what people are doing, how well the council is doing on various areas, so that you can use that as a way to inform your vote. So I have been working with actually one of the candidates, Chaos77, to create this dashboard, which is available on jscan.io. Now, this looks a bit crazy, but it serves my purposes, which is basically be able to pick a council period and then get some key statistics in terms of what's happening, how many new channels were created. That's quite a lot, actually. It's seems strange. How many new videos, what the different leads did in terms of posting on the forums, making proposals. Of course, for the council, you get to be able to see, like in the past council, how active were different council members. Did they do their job? All the different proposals. So this is going to get fleshed out. I want us to integrate this with Discord as well, so you can see how much different council members are active in Discord in a given period. Same with working group leads. And then hopefully also over time, you can do a cross-section where you see sort of like, okay, well, such and such is trying to run for the council, but how good of a job have they actually done over time? So this dashboard, I think, is going to be useful, at the very least for me, in order to convey my opinion about what's going on. But I'm sure others may find it useful as well. So head over to jscan.io if you want to have a look at that. Obviously, we're also working on the Ephesus Network. So right now, the runtime has been frozen, so we're not planning to add any more features. As I say that, there may be a slight exception to that, but apart from one possible exception, the runtime has been frozen, and it's being QA'd by Martin at the moment in terms of there aren't massive changes in the runtime level for Ephesus. It's mostly about blocking things that weren't there, but testing that properly, and then hopefully, actually, as I'm reading here, it's tomorrow. It's supposed to be frozen. You can see here on the milestone. This is a public dashboard, by the way. If you go to timeline.joystream.org, you can find this at any time for Ephesus. We'll point this to another project once Ephesus is out the door. But anyway, I think it's on tomorrow. We would freeze the runtime, and then early next week there would be a proposal for, I guess you can't see everything here in the public view, but a proposal for the council to accept it. I'm not sure we're going to be able to make that deadline, because one of the things I've been working on as well is that we need a process for doing lots of different important changes to Joystream. Runtime upgrades are certainly one of those changes, but there are lots of other things. There was an initiative by not the past council, but the one before that, about changing the number of validators, and that got a bit chaotic. And there are going to be lots of other changes, things that are not even about the runtime, stuff like changing the APIs of the protocols that the storage providers run, or any of these different things require a bit more of a process than we currently have. And so I've been trying to work out basically the equivalent of the BIP or the EIP process for Ethereum. We need something like that for the Joystream system. So what else would it be? The Joystream Improvement Proposal process is what I've been working on. So this is like a funky diagram that would sort of show you roughly how the flow would go, but this isn't published yet. It's just a draft I have here just in order to be able to share this on the screen. But we need basically a process for how to make changes, and runtime upgrades are one of them. And I don't think this will be done in time for the council to understand and then start implementing it for the runtime upgrade on Monday, but pretty soon, hopefully. So maybe sometime into next week. And then we get into this longer marathon, as I've mentioned, I can't scroll horizontally. It was a bit of a shame with this. Maybe I scroll. Not sure how Loom deals with that. Anyway, so we have to confirm the same upgrade for councils, which takes a bit of time, unfortunately. But that's the way it is if you want to do safe upgrades. So that's Ephesus and the Joystream Improvement Proposal process coming to you soon. Next thing that's really exciting is the YouTube Partnership Program. That's been in the works for a while, but I believe now we're on the home stretch in terms of testing and making sure that people can replicate their content from YouTube. Well, maybe I should just step back. What is this program? It's basically a way for people who already have content on YouTube that they manage to automatically get that pumped over to Joystream without having to lift a finger. That relies on a bunch of backend infrastructure that we run for Gleave specifically, which is the first application that will run it. Anyone else can run it if they want to for their application as well, but we're obviously focusing on using it for Gleave. And we're going to be running an incentivized campaign for where creators can actually earn funds for replicating the content over, for signing up to the program, and so on, for referring other creators. So that's been in the process of getting implemented for a long time, and I think it's going to be really the key for having creators start getting on board, because it really becomes a no-brainer to get started if you just have to click a few buttons. Your content is automatically backed up on Joystream. You get a free option on new audience, and you get some tokens, and it's pretty easy proposition, I think, for a lot of creators to give it a try. So that's YPP. And there's also, maybe I could just go to the timeline for this. So this is there isn't a convenient link for the YPP Asana board, unfortunately. Maybe we can start another DNS name for that, but currently we don't. But there are basically two stages to the YPP rollout. The first one is to launch something called Applications as First-Class Citizens, which is basically a way of having applications like Gleave or L1.media that L1 Dev runs be able to say to the system, to the blockchain, hey, such and such channel and video was published through this application, so that the council can later go back and say, okay, for over this period of time, we're going to reward Gleave or L1 Media or whoever else is running an application retroactively for the content and the creators that they onboarded during that period of time. And that obviously requires you to be able to know who is actually responsible for doing that onboarding and capturing those users and that content. So that's going to be YPP. I believe that is nearing being finished, but that's the first part of it. And then the next step is actually to get YouTube Sync and YPP itself ready to be launched. Current deadline says February 24th. Seems a bit optimistic, but I'm not 100% in the loop on whether that's still accurate. There also needs to be some community testing here on whether our storage infrastructure can actually deal with the volume of content that's likely to come from this scheme, because someone shows up and they have 5,000 videos on their channel. That's a lot of content that all of a sudden has to be pumped through the system, and we haven't had that kind of load before. So there should be some community testing as well to make sure that the configurations and infrastructure is ready for that. So that's YPP and Applications as First-Class Citizens. If someone wants to look at this timeline, just let me know and we can set up another convenient domain name for that. Lastly, there is some work on a new back end for Atlas. So Atlas basically is the software that powers, for example, Gleave. It has a back end which does a bunch of stuff. Currently, we're running on Orion V1, which has served as well for a long time, but obviously it was just more of a proof of concept just to get from 0 to 1. But with V2, we really have a solid foundation for having a much more performant and convenient way to provide an API to front-end applications. Things like search and recommendations and user accounts and all these kinds of things are going to work much better in Orion V2. So I'm really excited about that, and that's, I think, pretty much finished. There's been a Herculean effort by Wojciech to push this forward and the Atlas team to integrate it. So That will be exciting to see released. I think that's also in the next few weeks. I don't think that immediately is going to unlock any new features that the users will experience, but they probably will experience a much better user experience in terms of its latency and performance when you go around navigating in an Atlas application. But features will come down. New features, unlocks will come down the road. All right. So that was way longer than I wanted to go, but there we are. Thank you so much. And we probably should do a community call soon, next week, something like that. I have to get this bloody improvement proposal process out the door, but then I think I should be able to make some time. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. If you have any questions, shoot them over on Discord. Bye.